Hey, blessings, beautiful star family. Yeah, this is my new moon video, but it's also for the new cycle, because I really see things as, they work as a whole package of rebirth and, the rising of the energy, the fullness of the full moon, the descent of the energy, and then obviously the womb time of the dark moon, which we're in now. So yeah, so our new moon will be in the constellation of Leo in the live sky, which I use in 13 star sign astrology. And that will be on Saturday, the 27th of August at 9:17 in the morning. So, this is the rebirth of the cycle in the energy of the lion. And then we're moving to our first quarter moon, which will be on the 3rd of September, which will be in Scorpio, and it will be very close to fixed star Antares, which is one of the royal stars, the royal star of the West. It's a very potent rising energy here, and also very much connected to death and letting go, actually. And this whole cycle, is very symbolic of harvesting. This full moon, when it comes up on the 10th of September, will be in Aquarius, and it's the harvest full moon. So, what we are actually doing all the way up until this point, of the fullness of the full moon on the 10th of September is we are harvesting. And in doing that harvesting, this is why I feel like the first quarter moon, that rising energy, is really close to Antares in Scorpio. It's this rising of endings. And, I felt this the other day when I was in my garden and I pulled up a whole cauliflower. And it was like pulling up a head. And it's like this, with the harvest comes death and letting go and grief as well, and it could really take us into memories of griefs of the past and things that have happened to us, people that we've lost, and it can take us into this place of reflection. So I really feel now, like, for us in the northern hemisphere, we are descending into the winter. The nights are drawing in and it's getting a bit cooler, and you can really feel that shift in the air, and in the nature that's around us, and all of the berries and the nuts are coming. And so it's a time of gathering. It's a time of bringing all our resources in, and in doing that, we meet with death and the aspect of letting go and of grief and of release, in preparation of what is to come. So our last quarter moon will be in the horns of Taurus on the 17th of September. And that will be just as the sun moves into Virgo as well, which is on the 16th of September. So that's just the day before. So yeah, the sun moves into Virgo. We have our last quarter moon just in time for the end of this cycle, and then right at the end, on the 23rd of September, we have our celebration of the Autumn Equinox. So yeah, that is the harvest time. The Autumn Equinox is when we really, really harvest our pumpkins and our apples and all the berries, and we're making tinctures and potions and drying things. And the energy of Virgo, when the sun moves into Virgo on the 16th, it is about working with the land and making medicine from our harvest. And that will take us to our new moon, which will be in Virgo on the 25th of September. So that will be the hunter's cycle, the hunter's moon. Then after that cycle, we find ourselves in eclipse season. So as we have the journey of the moon cycle, the lunar cycle, which takes us on a journey every moon, every month, we have a larger scale, which is the seasonal yearly cycle, Celtic wheel of the year. And so it also matches the flow of the moon. So we have our rising of the year, we have our fullness of the year, which is what we're coming to the end of now, and then we have our descent. So we are descending now. And so in that descent, you know, it's the same when, you know, a mother is pregnant and she's in her third trimester. It's that slowing down, everything gets really heavy and we have to start letting go of things, and we might get really watery and emotional. You know, the tears are releasing and everything's starting to, you're having to make space and clear things, and you know, starting to, you know, if we're working with the land, going out and, you know, really starting to tend to the land. You know, what do we need to trim back? What do we need to release? What do we need to let go of? And you know, and also in doing that, we're reflecting, you know, what worked, what didn't work this year, what has come into fullness, you know, what are my fruits, what am I harvesting? And you know, in doing that, you know, we're then thinking about, wow, that really worked, you know, I really liked having my lettuces here. Or they didn't, you know. So it's like we're starting to come into this place of reflection. Yeah, and then of course, you know, when we have our eclipse season, which will be this year, it's like right over the Samhain portal. So we have a solar eclipse on the 25th of October, and it's conjunct Venus, and Mercury's close by as well, and it's in Virgo. And then the lunar eclipse will be on the 8th of November, which will be in Aries, quite close to Samhain, actually, because the date of Samhain, actually, the astrological date of Samhain this year is the 7th, because it shifts slightly, because the Gregorian calendar is just off. So the date will always be slightly different. You know, it doesn't fix, time is not fixed like that. So Samhain will be around the time of the lunar eclipse in Aries. So yeah, I'll be doing more on that nearer the time, but coming back to this cycle, you know, it feels like everything we're doing now is preparing us for what's to come. You know, and I spoke last cycle about Pluto, and Pluto is working us a lot at the minute. Pluto is moving into Capricorn next year, which is huge. It's a really big deal. I know that Kim, my dear friend Kim's done in-depth videos about that. So in a way, you know, all of this that we're feeling now, there may be like intensity, there may be grief, there may be, yeah, this feeling of letting go and what we're letting go of, you know, and really reflecting on it, because it's preparing us. It's like we have to do the inner work now. We have to look at, you know, ourselves and everything that's coming up, and yeah, come into this place of deep reflection in preparation for, you know, the eclipse seasons and Samhain, because Samhain in the Celtic wheel of the year is the new year. It's the beginning. It's when the seed enters the soil. And so you imagine an apple that falls from the tree, and then it's like that five-pointed star of Venus, which is, you know, the seeds of the apple. There's 5 of them. They go down into the earth. And that is when the new cycle begins. It's just like when we conceive life, when the seeds come into the womb, that's when the life begins. And so that's the journey, you know. So really the Samhain portal is that beginning of life, going back into the womb. It's that inner journey within to then be born again at the spring. So, you know, we are making our way down the mountain now from the fullness of the summer, and we're going down, 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 down into the womb of the winter. So, you know, this time of year can feel like quite a lot of work, you know, because there's just so much abundance right now as well. And it's, you know, we're gathering, we're bringing it all in, and my kitchen is just full of herbs and tinctures, and yeah, it's a mess actually, but it's, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, when Virgo kicks in for me, and she should really help to make sense of it all. Yeah, so this is the cycle we're in now, the harvest cycle, you know, and at the end of this cycle we have our Autumn Equinox celebration. So yeah, beautiful time to be, you know, collecting things in nature, going out and collecting apples and making things with them, apple pies, apple potions, whatever you feel to do, you know, and also, you know, getting your pumpkins out, getting them ready for Samhain that's coming. So it's a beautiful time of year, but really wanting to honor with the harvest is the death of the mother as well, and how it's really important that we give reverence for the life that we are receiving, and also, you know, do the necessary releasing and grieving of that which we are letting go of. Yeah, so I'm going to bring up the chart for you all. Let me do that. This is for the new moon. So hopefully you can see that now. I'm going to go for gold drawings today because it's Leo energy, golden energy. Okay. So here we are. This is our new moon over in Leo. So this reflects the actual sky. So obviously in Western astrology, I think it's probably coming up in Virgo by now, but it's interesting because if you look over here, you'll see that Mercury is right on the ascendant here in the UK in Virgo. So what we are seeing is very Virgo. It's like what we're communicating is very Virgo because, you know, it's the harvest time, right? And the Virgo energy is very symbolic of the harvest and the medicine woman and the midwife and all of the herbs. And, you know, she is the alchemist of the land, and very connected to Demeter as well, and the grief of the mother. It's really interesting how Mercury's here. Mercury is going into retrograde, so we will be reflecting on Virgo and how we communicate. So something that I noticed that's really interesting is there's kind of a rough T-square that's going on. I noticed that Black Moon Lilith over in Gemini is up here, and then you can go all the way down, you've got Jupiter as well. So I felt this, you know, I was like, wow, what is this? It's interesting, you know, it's like it could be around, because obviously the Gemini energy where Lilith is representing our shadows and our fears and the dark, and, you know, stuff that we might need to look at and reflect on. So to do with our mind maybe, and being over mental about things, so being really in our heads, or you know, with Jupiter here as well, it could be lessons about too much in our heads, too much communication, too much talking, you know. So it could be too many words even, you know, and or, you know, with Lilith there in this kind of vocal place, it could just be saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, or just like, you know, not thinking about what we're saying, you know. So it feels like, you know, the beginning of this cycle with this interesting aspect between Mercury, Black Moon, Lilith, and Jupiter. It's really asking us to begin a new cycle around our voice and how we share our words, but also our mind as well, how we analyze things. You know, Virgo, Mercury can be really into the details of everything, go over everything again and again and again until we figure it out, you know. But actually, the mental thing in the mind can actually take us away from what, you know, the body and the feelings that are also surfacing this time with, like I said, with the grief and the letting go, right? Our brain can kind of keep us in this kind of mental battle, and there's a big lesson this cycle around that. I felt as well like the Neptune is in trine to the South Node. So here, And this is like, I felt like this, like, wow, like there could be revelations in our dreams about the past. You know, we might be dreaming about our past relationships or our past lovers, or, you know, it feels like some kind of revelations may be coming through, you know, in this trine to Neptune in our dream world. So keep a lookout for that, you know, and also what that could be, you know, there to teach us. Obviously, we've still got Saturn in square to the nodes. Yay. He's making us do some work, you know, but there's still this grand cross aspect. But now the sun's moved out of it and Venus has moved into it. So you can see here, and she's conjunct Ceres as well. So lessons about love, lessons about relationships, lessons about values, lessons about how we take care of ourselves. This is what Ceres is all about, taking care, you know, our needs, what we need. So Ceres is right at the end of Cancer, and Venus has moved into Leo, you know, so it's really powerful for Venus right now. It's a very fierce feminine energy. And so with her in this grand cross aspect, so she's at this point and she's opposing Saturn, you know, so Saturn and Venus, and also obviously Uranus, who's still quite close to the North Node over here, it's like they're really working us on our relationships and, yeah, how we communicate. I think this is a big thing, you know, for this new moon with Mercury here, you know, in retrograde in Virgo. How we use our voice in our relationships, how we communicate, how much we communicate, maybe over communicating. Mars is over in Taurus, you know, so maybe, you know, we need to be a bit more dynamic in our bodies. You know, we need to kind of, like Mars in Taurus is like I said, out on the land, very physical. You know, it's like, it's a strong earthy energy. The big ball is like steady and just, you know, working away on the land. So that could be our therapy, this cycle, you know. It could be that we need to get out on the land and we need to tend to that growth and the wildness. It's like, you know, things can get really overgrown this time of year. And I love the thing about the apple tree, you know, if you don't prune it back, it doesn't do very well the next year. So things need pruning back, and that's inside of us as well. You know, it's not just on the external, but internally things need pruning back. So yeah, I love to combine like the seasonal wisdom with the cyclical wisdom of the lunar cycle, you know, and how it all fits together with the star wisdom and the cycles of the stars. So like I've said before, everything is all connected. So yeah, so Leo, you know, I really, you know, we've got this cycle, we've got Leo, we've got Scorpio, we've got Aquarius, we've got Taurus. You know, this is very potent energy. So Aquarius and Leo for me are very much about community. And so another thing that could be driving us this new moon, this new cycle, is getting together with others, you know, who are working on the land, or who, you know, to actually start forming a community type feel. You know, we might even find by the end of the cycle we're having a community gathering for the autumn equinox, you know, to celebrate our harvest and to share our foods. And, you know, we're really blessed here in Glastonbury where we live. We've got so many new initiatives popping up around this. There's a new thing called Crops Not Shops, which is really exciting. People getting out on the land and living out more on the land and stuff. So it's really inspiring to see what is being born here in the heart of the planet, Avalon. So, and also I'm part of a community mama village as well. So it's gathering together the mums. So it's interesting, Venus and Ceres are here together as well, you know, and it's the gathering together of community, and how when we work together, you know, we are so much more powerful than if it's just us doing it on our own. You know, if you've got 4 or 5 people working in the garden, it's much more, you know, you get a lot more done if you've just got just yourself, right? So this is the way that we are being kind of invited into. So yeah, I'm just tuning in if there's anything else wants to drop in around that, because today I actually pulled some cards and I felt to share them with you before the end of this video, which I don't normally do, but you know, feels like the right thing to do because the cards are really interesting. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to share on the chart for now. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, back to me. So yeah, the first card I pulled is the Strength card. I've got the Mother Peace Oracle deck, which is this one here. So this is by Vicky Noble and Karen Bogle as well, it says in the back here. But anyway, they're round circles, and this is why I like them, because you know I like circles and cycles and things. So this card is the Strength card, and in traditional tarot, you know, the Strength card is often seen holding the mouth of a lion. So it could be like this. I feel like it's like wielding the wild power, you know, and this is Bridget, and she's got 12 animals around her, and she's the 13th. And it's about wielding the power of the lion and that wildness and that fierceness, that, you know, we have to, that power could bite our hand off, right? But, you know, if it's used in the right way, it can be channeled into really beautiful, powerful things to be working with. So it's about becoming the master of our Kundalini and our life force, becoming the master of our energy, you know, and that strength of the lion, you know, that can roar, you know, if it needs to, but also that like she's soft as well as strong, and she is so at one with everything in community. Another card that I pulled was the Priestess of Wands. So this, she's also got the lion. And, you know, the Priestess of Wands here, she is like a woman in her power, but she is like directing the life force, like I said as well. So she is, she's got the lion as her ally. Reminds me of kind of like Sekhmet energy, and that fierce feminine power, you know, that she's like so strong and so creative, and she's a leader, you know. So this cycle is really about being in our power, being in our tribe, being in community, and directing our life force in a direction that, you know, is for the greatest good of all. And then the last card that I got is this Six of Swords. So this card always reminds me of Aquarius for some reason. You can see that they're all putting their swords together and making a six-pointed star. They've all got roses. And it's like the higher perspective, the higher mind. And this is our full moon in Aquarius. It's like we put our swords together, we can fly. You know, we put all of our creative Kundalini life force genius together. You know, we're so frigging powerful. And yeah, things really start moving. We can move mountains, we can birth these new projects, you know, and we will be really guided, you know, by our soul, by the higher purpose that's moving us. So yeah, I'm hoping some of that resonates. I'm hoping that you love it. You might not, but yeah, I'm really enjoying being back on here, and yeah, I hope that you're all doing well. And yeah, these energies are intense at the minute, and I know lots of people are feeling quite wiped out, but I think sometimes that exhaustion is just an invitation to rest as well. You know, and there is work to be done, you know, so that can also be overwhelming with the amount of harvest there is and things there is to do. But, you know, with the Virgo season coming up, you know, we will have that Virgo energy on our side to really help us to get the work done. But also, you know, Mars being in Taurus, it's very physical on the earth right now, you know. So yeah, get out there, get tending the land. And in doing that, you know, I always find when I'm out on the land and I'm doing the work that I get like insights of my inner world as well, like that's reflected to me on the land. So yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'm gonna log off. But love you all lots and lots, and blessed new cycle. Happy harvest. Mwah. Blessed be.